Hi everyone, Shannon here from frugalbeautiful.com, and this is my first video of 2015, which I'm really excited to be filming in my new apartment. The lighting is so awesome here. Anywho, I'm really hoping to make videos a regular part of my blog again, which I've said like 5 times, but I'm really hoping it will stick this time around, now that I have more of an open space to record videos. But this week's topic is going to be about how I saved nearly $20,000 in 2014. I recently posted on the blog about my progress throughout 2014, how I was saving up for a wedding, which isn't happening now, but it was still quite a journey to save nearly $20,000 in one calendar year. And I'm happy to say I almost did it. I got about $19,100 something dollars. It's all on the blog. I'll link to it later. By the end of the year, I actually did go over $20,000, with like some small, gifts. I paid off some things and I hustled a little bit. So by January, some of my payments went through and I finally was able to save over $20,000. But of course I didn't hit it by December 31st. So I had to cut it off and do the post for only 19,000 something. But I'm still really excited about my progress, and so I did have people ask me questions about how exactly I did that, and so I'm really excited to share that with you about how I did that. Now, before you start out, I would say the first thing you need to do if you want to save this amount of money or pay off this amount of debt, the first thing you need to do is prioritize, and know that you can't just go through your budget and cut everything all the time everywhere. Obviously there are things you can save money on, like cut cable, don't go to Starbucks, the stuff we all know. But what we ended up doing was making some cuts that we still wanted to travel, but we would have to find like the rock bottom prices to be able to do the things we like to do, but we had to be very savvy and dedicate a little bit more time to finding the best deal. For instance, like I mentioned, we still wanted to travel last year, and so we were able to do that. We were able to go do the Rock and Roll Marathon in Cleveland, and so how we made a concession with that is that we drove and used Groupons and things like that. And we also stayed in a not so glamorous hotel in order to be able to afford to go. So sometimes you're going to find if you want to save that amount of money, you're going to have to prioritize, and sometimes that means that you can't always like take vacations in peak periods, or you may have to use your airline points to be able to swing it, and you're going to have to find creative ways to fund what you want to do. And sometimes, honestly, it means that you can't do everything you want to do, but find what's going to give you the most bang for your buck and prioritize around it. So travel was something we really wanted to do, and races was something we wanted to do, and so we couldn't always just go out and run a 5K or do a half marathon or fly to Disney and run. We had to find creative ways to fund those and to cut costs, and so sometimes that meant having bologna sandwiches in our hotel room instead of going out to dinner, but we could make it work. So in those ways, just know that that's like the first cornerstone to saving this amount of money in a year, is that prioritize around your goals and find creative ways to fund them. My next piece of advice is that you have to make sure that your family and friends are on board. Sometimes that means that you don't exchange gifts, or that, if a family member asks you what you want for your birthday or for Christmas, let them know you're saving for something big and amazing. And so either to just skip gifts altogether, or if they can contribute to paying down your debt or for your goal, that might be a creative way to do that. But really where the rubber met the road was in my automatic savings plan. And so I set up an automatic savings plan with every paycheck that I got to deduct a flat fee from my bank account, my primary bank account, towards another bank account that I couldn't access as easily. So every paycheck on like the 30th and the 15th, automatic payment would go through, at midnight or whenever it was, and then it would deduct a flat fee. Now, I have found that if you leave it up to your own will and gumption, you will never save what you're supposed to save. If you're like, oh, my next paycheck, I'm going to put away $400, and that'll be my savings for the month. Well, if you are leaving it up to yourself to do that, you won't do it. But if you know, and when you're out shopping, and you're like, oh my gosh, I really want those boots, they're amazing, but you know that you have like a bill coming, which your bill is your automatic savings plan, you will be less likely to spend that money if you don't have it. Because I can tell you, if you're leaving it to your own willpower, your willpower will never be enough to help you save 20K. It never will ever be enough, and you shouldn't set yourself up for that. It's kind of like trying to resist like your favorite desserts when you're at a buffet. If you're trying to lose weight and get in shape, maybe you shouldn't go to restaurants that really tempt you to overeat. So don't set yourself up for failure, set yourself up for success by setting up an automatic savings plan, and I'll have more information below this or on the blog for you to read more about an automatic savings plan. The next thing I did was that I got a new job, and I realized that this isn't a thing for everyone. The new job actually kicked in November of the previous year, but I have found that one of the easiest ways to save more is to earn more. And originally my first job out in Chicago didn't pay me what I was worth, quite frankly. And so I did the scary thing and decided to get a new job, and I'm working at a company that I love, which is great, and was able to negotiate for a living wage. Who'da thunk? And so I can say that even though it scares a lot of people and people absolutely hate that advice, if you're looking to aggressively pay down your debt or save, maybe you should really consider finding a new job or finding a second job. Or just negotiating with your employer for a better salary. I know that scares a lot of people, but that's the honest truth. If you want to save more, sometimes you need to make more. You can cut costs all you want, but if you're not making a lot to begin with, or you're underpaid for the value you provide to your company, the economy is doing better, and I would say this might be a good time for you to consider looking or to negotiate with your employer for better pay or flexible work schedule or something that will make your life easier. The next thing I did was that I hustled. Oh my God, did I hustle? I hustled like all year long. I write a lot on my blog about how you can earn money with blogging, and so what I did with my blog this year is that I did sidebar advertising, I took some sponsored posts, I took a lot of freelance writing gigs for other websites and online magazines. So whatever good fit that came my way, I took on those things in order to earn some extra income. And so sometimes that meant I worked nights and weekends. Many times that meant I worked nights and weekends. And, I couldn't simply just go out or sleep in. I had to get up early and work and get, my writing gigs done or edit photos or, get things up or, take on whatever freelance work I could. And I know a lot of bloggers do that. So maybe starting a blog may not be the best fit for you, but is there something else you could do? Like, do you have a nice DSLR camera? Could you do some freelance photography? Can you babysit? Can you help somebody with projects around the house? Can you dog sit? That's another thing, or dog walk. And then another form of hustling, though, that you could try is to sell off some of your stuff. So if you're like, yeah, I don't have a fancy camera, I suck at photography, I couldn't, do baby portraits or whatever to earn extra money, could you sell off some of the stuff you have? And I know that that's one of those tried and true pieces of advice, but chances are you could be selling stuff or you could cut back some of your expenses. There is got to be something in your budget you could get rid of that really isn't going to cause you that much pain. DVDs that are sitting around collecting dust, or an extra DVD player, or some equipment or technology that has good resale value. Maybe you could have a garage sale, or maybe you could actually relocate. And that's another thing that people are like, oh, I don't want to mess with my apartment. But I can tell you that unless you're like living somewhere where you have a mortgage, if you're free to move and your lease is coming up, if you really want to save more money, you might want to consider getting a roommate or finding a more affordable place to live. For a long time, I had 2 roommates and my rent was like $350 a month. The place was not glam, but it kept me out of debt while I was in grad school, and that's one of my best pieces of advice. Last year, when I was trying to save $20,000, I split expenses with my partner at the time, but also, we cut all kinds of other expenses, like certain subscription boxes I was signed up for, magazines, and then I found ways to save money on bigger purchases, or I just didn't buy them at all. So I've had friends that have sold off their car if they live in the city and can take public transit. Friends that have even sold plasma. I don't know, you can get creative. There are a lot of things you can do to cut expenses or to give things away to earn extra money. So it's just something to consider. I did a lot of that. So I really did a lot of hustling in 2014, and so I think that would be one of my best pieces of advice if you're really curious about it. You can cut expenses all you want, but I just know that if you're on a tight budget like I was, you've probably milked every penny you have already, and you're like, wow, I really don't get Starbucks, I don't go out and get mani-pedis, I pretty much cut everything I can. So I would say definitely sell some stuff off. If it makes you sad, just think you're living a minimalist existence and you found Zen. Try it, it might work. Or just really hustle. Get out there and hustle and let your family and friends know that you have skills that you would be happy to share, especially with their references, to see if you can earn some extra money. That would be my biggest thing. Chances are there's something you can do, whether it's website coding, graphic design, editing books, being a virtual assistant or a freelance writer. There's a lot of things that you can do from the comfort of your own home or even in your own neighborhood that can help you earn extra cash. So that may not be the glamorous answer, but literally it was a lot of hard work and creative thinking for my personal circumstances that worked for me, and I think it could work for you too. So I may not be able to tell you, give up your Starbucks or whatever, but chances are there's something, if you spend an evening and think about it, there will be ways that you could save up to $20,000 in 2015. So Anywho, if you've done something like this or you have more questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. But again, thank you so much for tuning into the blog, and I'll see you back at frugalbeautiful.com. Thanks guys, bye.